Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. It's going to see us again. I know you guys are probably getting tired of seeing us. We're back again, Coast to Coast Packers. Got my man Bernie Bango here. Bernie, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Beautiful day. Coast to coast, back to back. Love it.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. So, we had to treat you guys. You guys have been coming through for our shows and just trying to, support us as much as you can. So we decided to get ourselves another amazing guest, a guy who needs no introduction, but I'm going to try my best to do it. Creator of podcast, probably creator of Grossi Posse, dude that literally became legit NFL fan of the year, got an award so he can prove it. And honestly, he's probably like one of the greatest Packer content creators, right up there with Cheesehead TV. So I'm not trying to get in beef with anyone, Nagler and Corey. But I want to introduce everybody to Tom Grossi. Tom, how you doing, man?
I'm Tom. What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me. Listen, I see the chat. The posse showed up. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. That's right.
I was waiting for the invasion, man. I was trying to see, are we going to get hit up here?
Let's go. No, thanks, guys, for having me. It's awesome.
Hey, man.
Also, some rocker music in the beginning, too. I get guitar. I was like, all right, I feel it.
Yeah. Gotta get pumped up, man.
Every time. Wakes us up, man.
Let's go.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. So look, Tom, man, I know you don't need an introduction. I'm pretty sure people know your story, but real quick, why don't you just give a little bit of a summary about how you got into this whole content creation and basically becoming one of the number one fans in the world?
September 16th, 1990, I was born, and when I emerged, my father wanted it to happen before the afternoon Cowboys game. That's a true story. No, so... You know what's actually really funny? I think I've talked about this once or twice on a podcast, but so my father's a diehard Cowboys fan, which just makes this so much better. And the famous story is that I became a Packers fan when I was 6, is that I went into elementary school. I heard the Packers beat the Cowboys 45-17 and was like, okay. I went home and told my dad, hey, I'm a Packers fan. And I just stayed like that for 26 years. And the best part about it is one of the reasons why my dad wanted to name me Thomas is because of Tom Landry. So not only did his son not become a Cowboys fan, but he literally has become a Packers fan who won Fan of the Year for his Packers fandom. So it's phenomenal. But I basically, I got started with this after the Packers. I've been a Packers fan, like I said, since I was 6. I learned more about the game. The first Packers game that I really remember watching was Super Bowl 32 when they lost to the Broncos. And that was rough. But I'm very fortunate enough to have seen a Super Bowl in my lifetime and seen my team win it. It was when I was in college. I was the only Packers fan on campus. It was February in New Paltz, New York, which is upstate. And dude, I just took off my shirt and ran outside, and I was the happiest person ever because my team just won the Super Bowl. I was the happiest I could have ever been. And I watched as much Packers football as I possibly could. Living in New York, sometimes that was really tough, especially before Sunday Ticket came around, and then even when Sunday Ticket came around, it was super expensive, and not everyone could afford it, including myself. So, I just watched when I could. And what got me really into it was when the Packers lost to the Seahawks in that fateful NFC Championship game. I was so broken as a person and as a fan because I was in the city seeing a play, Avenue Q, because my then wife at the time was like, oh, buy these tickets so we could go out with my dad and your mom. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever, because this was months before the NFC Championship game. And then it was on the day of the NFC Championship game. And I was like, I'm never going again. It's one of the many reasons me and theater don't get along. But it's just for that. But
well, thanks.
Yeah, it's it. So basically, there was a guy with a Marshawn Lynch jersey sitting in front of me, and we just were checking our phone. That's all we were doing. And I was on an old crappy phone in 2015. And basically, I got out, and there was 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So I found I found a bar in Manhattan. I bought a $12 beer, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna watch my team go to the Super Bowl. And then that happened. And it was it took 2 days for me to go, okay, that was horrible. That was horrifying. That was awful. If I wasn't a Packers fan, I would just have to laugh because of everything that went wrong, from the fake field goal to the onside kick to the everything, right?
It's
so I was like, you know what?
Things. 15 things that had to go
yeah,
wrong.
legitimately.
Insane.
So that was the first idea for the first reaction video that I had. Like, it was obviously 2 days later, and I just sat on a couch with my old Sony camcorder. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to do anything. And I just set it up, and I recorded, like, oh, we're gonna win. Bam, 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 and all the things that would go wrong. And back then, it got like 60,000 views, which I was like, this is viral. Like, it's gone crazy now, right? Like, I'm famous. But the thing that stood out to me the most was being in New York. I had very limited interactions with Packers fans because there just weren't a ton of Packers fans around me. And so I had Packers fans reaching out to me and like, you know what? This is the first time I was able to laugh since the NFC Championship game. Like, this is the point I'm like now able to process this, and like this was really good. And that was the inspiration for Packcast, which I started a podcast later that August. And in 3 weeks from today, it will be the 9-year anniversary of that.
Wow, man, that's impressive.
Heck yeah, man. I think everyone knows where they were in 2015, that game. Like, I think everyone knows. It still hurts. I can't look at highlights.
It's a national tragedy.
Yeah, like it still gives me like bubble guts when I even just someone like show, hey, let's look at the NFC Championship game from
10 years ago. No,
I'm good.
People like I'm like, oh, I've gone back and watched that game. Like, I didn't. Like,
Yeah.
why do I ever
Why
want
would
to see
you
that
masochist?
ever again? No.
No. So look, that is pretty cool that it took a tragic moment like that to get you into this space. Like,
dude, it screwed me up. Like, when I went to Seattle for the first time during 30 and 30, I was like, I have this divine hatred for the Seattle Seahawks because of that, the Fail Mary. Like, I always hated Golden Tate because of that moment. And then I got there and they were so nice to me. And I was like, stop being nice. Like, no, I'm supposed to hate you. And to go through that process and be like, you know what? The Seahawks, whether I like it or not, are part of the origin story. So they take pride on that. Yep.
Oh God, like that's you know what? It's all good because it got you to where you are today. So that's amazing.
I'm hoping we can exercise some of those demons. The Packers come out to Seattle for Sunday Night Football this season, and it's 90 miles south of where I live, so I will be there. I don't know if I need to take holy water or maybe it's more of a vampire thing. Take garlic and holy
Steaks.
water, right? Some steaks. Good idea.
So this is I've said this like once or twice, I think. So the Seahawks they were one of the first teams to say yes to me for 30 and 30. Like, when I originally emailed them, and shout out to the Seahawks for that. And like their social media team really wanted to do a lot of stuff. And they told me this after I visited, and it didn't come to fruition. But they originally wanted to recreate the onside kick with me on the field, but this time I would catch it. And I was like, and they told me this. I was like, why didn't you do this? I was like, I would have done that immediately. They're like, yeah, we ran it up the flagpole, and they basically said, like, doesn't that make us kind of look bad that he's like making the Packers win on our field? And they're like, oh yeah, I guess not. And so I almost did it because I probably would have gone back and watched the game then if that happened.
Yeah, I was gonna say you would have been the Jordy Nelson. You would have been the Jordy Nelson of that play. Yeah, exactly.
I would have called Jordy up and be like, hey buddy, here, you know what? I'll let you field it. I'm just gonna stand right here. I'm not gonna move. I got you, buddy. I got you.
Tom, we got to get the game on VHS, and then if we could get that footage of you doing that, right?
Splice it.
Right there, go.
Baby, right?
Exactly. Done.
We won the Super Bowl that year in alternate world. So yeah, I'm gonna take that. So
that's happened a few times, my friend, where I was like, oh, if we win, we're going to the Super Bowl. And then we don't. Like the Falcons in 2016. That wasn't a time I thought we were going. Like that one, I was like, it's run the table. It was amazing, but that train stopped real quick in Atlanta when it got there. Like the 49ers in 19, I was like, okay, yeah, probably not. But man, like the Buccaneers, the 49ers divisional one, I was like, we just get past these teams and like we are winning a Super Bowl. And it was the same thing with Seattle. I was like, I think we could beat the Patriots. And everyone's been waiting for Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and
they get it. Yeah. There it is. It's funny you say that too, because like every year, like that game that they play in a championship or a divisional game, they played that team previously that season. I think like Falcons 2016, and we went toe to toe with them in the regular season, and then we get there and it's just like we just fell apart. Like we just lost all that gas, right? And
Dude, the NFC West was like our supervillains for the
Yes.
Cardinals when they
Yep.
had Kurt Warner, right? And I still remember that face mask. I have
Fitzgerald,
not forgotten from 2009.
Yep.
Nope, that was a face mask, absolutely. And I am still bitter about that. Then it's
Let it
Larry
go.
Fitzgerald, Hail Marys, Jeff Janis, the whole 9 yards, and that one didn't work out.
No.
And then you have the 49ers a cajillion times, and then the Seahawks. So the Rams are the only ones who just get stomped when
Yeah.
we see them, except they made up for it in the regular season when Ty Montgomery didn't run out. So that was the pain.
That one,
It was-
oh my God.
Dude,
You're
that game was
bringing back
rough.
Memories with that one.
The show is just going to turn into a therapy session for
It
Packers
really is
fans. Like, I was a
catharsis.
child when this game, when 4th and 26 happened.
Oh, don't even bring that one up because I remember that one too.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Pretty
I was in my
much
dad's
it.
living room
Oh,
watching that game, and I
God.
was like, "What?"
My Philly friends still bring that up. I'm like, dog, get out of here. I ain't got time for you.
No,
This is
no.
ridiculous. So no, okay, we can cry in our tears about this, but like going from like what you started, right? And then you
Yeah.
did the 30 for 30 and all your contributions to St. Jude's. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Just wanted you to kind of talk a little bit about that because the amount of energy, time, and just how you were able to stay awake just as much as you did for what you did last. I was following you and I was like, holy crap!
Yeah.
Like you and Johnny were doing your thing. Johnny Barks too. You got to give him a shout
Yeah.
out. That guy's absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
But no, just talk a little bit about that because like your contribution to St. Jude's is like it's they can't even put it into words.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So there's a couple things here. So when I first started Packcast, like I still vivid, and this is why, like even just when we were before the show, like I'm a dude. Like my name's Tom. Like I love the Packers and I love football. Like that.
Yes.
That's it. The reason I started doing this is because the team that I love the most lost in the most tragic way that I've ever seen. And I was like, you know what? Here's my therapy. I'm gonna make a video and that's just going through the process. And this might make me feel better at the end. And then there was trauma bonding with the internet when it wasn't a cesspool. Like, and it was nice. And it was like, okay, this is okay. And it just from there, I was like, okay, like I want to talk to fans from the opposing teams. I want to talk to other Packers fans. And there was a time, I apologize for the not knowing the year. I think it was sometime, I want to say it was 2016, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, this was just a podcast for a while. It was just like on SoundCloud and iTunes and all that great stuff.
Yeah.
And then in 2016, I started migrating a little bit more over to YouTube until, I just did that full time. So what wound up happening was there was a guy that I brought on and I didn't know how to podcast. Again, didn't know how to edit. I was doing it off my laptop. The amount of editing time took 3 times the length of the episode. So if I did a 45-minute interview and I like had a video component, it would take 3 hours to render.
Yeah.
So like that's where we're rocking. And again, like I wasn't good at it. Like my audio was terrible. I was interrupting people. Like I wasn't letting people fully talk. I just like had to get better. And this was a space that I'd never been in before. But I was like, okay, I brought on this guy and I let everybody plug something at the end because they're your guests, you know, where they can find you and all that great stuff. And this guy goes, I don't have any social media, but there's this charity that I really support. It means a lot to me that they give service dogs to wounded veterans. Mm-hmm. And this was 2015, 2016. Either way, I was a teacher just starting out. I had no money to my name. And I mean, zero. And the story I always tell is it took 3 years to make $200 on YouTube, like of just like grinding out content. So I was like, okay, well, I was like, yeah, I was like inspired by a story. And I was like, well, yeah, like I'll throw a few bucks towards it. And I did not have a few bucks to do so, but I donated $50. And it was like at that point where I was like, okay, if this ever turns into something, and this is like maybe a year in, if this ever turns into something, I want to use this platform for giving back, right? I think I don't judge the way anybody, you know, runs their content. That's your prerogative. It's your platform. For me, and this is probably a whole lot of just guilt and, you know, trauma I'm still working through in therapy, but a lot of this is I get to do something where I get to talk about my favorite team. I get to talk about football. I get to meet phenomenal people. I get to talk to phenomenal people. There is the most amazing community that we have fostered here for 9 years running. I do Friday night Q&As every single week. And so it means a lot to me. Like, it's not just like a content creator of like, hey guys, like you can go back and see my videos from 2017 when I had a terrible haircut, you know, crooked teeth, and also was just trying to make this work with a crappy microphone. So when this started to get larger, even in 2018, when I had a few thousand subscribers, we raised $1,500 for Parkinson's research for Michael J. Fox's organization because I ran the marathon that year. And I was like, okay, like I got some help with that. So that was really nice. And it wasn't until like 2020, like we would do like every now and then we'd do like some random fundraisers and we raised like a couple $1,000, which was great. But in 2021, it was December, and that was the year that I had gotten divorced earlier that year. It was the worst year of my life. It was a mental low point. It was just not good times. It was a dark time in my life. And it was also the year that I had quit teaching. I had left June of that year because I was like, my mental health was destroyed. Like it was just doing that and also doing this full time. I had already been doing that for 6 years. It was the COVID year. It just broke me. Right. And I was like, all right, I'm going to just give this the old college try and see what happens. And so basically it was a few weeks before Christmas. And I was like, wow, this is the first Christmas like I'm going to spend alone. Like I'm just going to be alone. And I was like, it's not a fun feeling. So what did I do? I was like, I'll work. So I decided at that point, I want to do a fundraising stream. And it'll be 8 hours long. I already loved streaming. I was already streaming like every Packers game since 2018. I was doing all primetime games. And I said, okay, I'll do an 8-hour one. I'll try to bring a whole bunch of different YouTubers on. I'll try to bring players on, what have you, with the reach that I have. And we did an 8-hour fundraising stream, which turned into 9 because the chat held me hostage. And it was like 1-ish o'clock in the morning. And I'm sitting there and we raised over $51,000.
Wow.
Damn.
And I sat here and I went, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on here. I said, oh shit. Like, damn. Because it's one thing, right? Like it's numbers behind a screen. And again, what I mean by that is like the terms of like money that we've raised is a few $1,000s, which was so awesome. And it was like, okay. But like to sit here and me just talking to other people raise 51 grand for kids and families with families who have kids with cancer. Like, and it was a smaller charity. It was the Sunshine Kids Foundation, who I read, and I do this for all the charities I do. I read their quarterly reports, their spending reports, make sure that the majority of the monies go into the program and it's not for marketing or awareness, because that means a lot too. Because I know that there's charities out there that aren't the greatest. So I sat there and was just like, holy shit! Like I raised like 51,000. Like that's a lot of money. Yeah. Like that. Legitimately, my starting salary when I got out of college was $38,000. My first teaching salary was $51,000. And I just raised that in 8 hours for charity. So I sat with it for a minute and I said, I could raise $1 million. Like literally that was the next thought.
Wow.
And it's like that was it. I was like, I could do that. Yeah. And the next year, because I literally keep it on a piece of paper on my desk. So literally in 2021, we raised a total, of $86,000 for charity, which was dope. So it was a 51 and then we had raised 30 before. In 2022, we raised $102,081 for charity. So 2020, so like the trajectory's pretty good. It's probably going to take me about, I don't know, like maybe 7-8 years, something like that, right?
Yeah, but you'll still hit it though, which is
I'll hit it because like you're telling me all I need to do is work. I love working, so like, all right, let's go. Like that's fine. Like let's go. This is starting to answer your question. We're taking the really long roundabout way to get there, but basically in 2023, I have characters from like sagas when I do like my football soap operas, and there's a character Wildflower who is a hippie, wears a flower crown, talks like this, the whole 9 yards. Fan favorite. So I always had an idea after Wildflower was created to go to FedEx Field, which is awful, and record a video and a skit like as Wildflower. And I always had that idea in my head. I was like, you know what? That'd be really funny. But the content I make, I sit in my basement, right? Like I sit in my basement, I talk on a microphone, I do, reaction videos or skits or dramas or what have you. So I was in the shower, like an idea was floating around my head for a couple years. And then I was in the shower on Valentine's Day. And I literally was like, I thought about the Wildflower thing again for, I don't even know what reason. The season had just ended, or like the Super Bowl was about to happen. Like I was going to be done, right? For basically the year, besides free agency and the draft. And I was like, ooh, I have a lot of characters now. I wonder if I go to like a whole bunch of different stadiums dressed as characters and do skits. And I was like, well, maybe not the character part, but what if I just went to every single NFL stadium? And I was like, well, people have done that. Like, what if I do it in 30 days? There's 30 stadiums. There's 30 days. It's perfect. I would do it in a month where there's no NFL news, so I don't have to worry about missing news. Because one of the things that is also going to happen in 6 days, it'll be the 5-year anniversary that I have uploaded content Monday through Friday, and I have not missed a day. Wow. So that's important to me. So I was like, okay, I have to do it at a time where there's not going to be a crazy trade, and I'm going to miss that, and potential growth and all that stuff. So I picked June, and was like, okay. I called a couple people and was like, is this insane? And they're like, yeah, but it could be really cool. And I was like, okay. And it was just me. Like, in terms of I just had to book everything. We left and there was 6 teams that said yes to me about like coming into the stadium, which I don't know if you know is significantly less than 30, right? So that's a problem. It's not the best. And basically what happened was it happened. We raised over $500,000, and there, like, Chicago, I always point out, was like a really low time because like I had an allergic reaction. The fan meetup, I couldn't do it at the place I wanted to. We couldn't find a charity in time. The upload speed was 3 megabytes per second, whole 9 yards. Like it was a disaster of a day. And then there was audio issues with the first episode for Green Bay. So wasn't our day. And so that sucked. Detroit was really good. Cleveland was really good. But Buffalo, when I jumped through a table and there was 100+ people plus the news, and it was the first time I had ever heard my name chanted. And I was like, what? Oh, like this is, this feels, okay. Like that's why? Like, that's the first question is like, no, it's not that big of a deal. Because this is also like the first time where like dude, like I thought I was going to show up and there was going to be 2 fans there because in New York, I had gotten recognized maybe once, maybe twice. I go to Green Bay. It happens more frequently. Yeah. But before 30 and 30, I was like, yeah, no, I'm just Tom walking the streets. And legit, to even go to Green Bay, and I was like, yeah, there's gonna be 12 people here maybe because it's Green Bay. And there was 40 people at like 11 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday that were just waiting outside Lambeau. And I was like, oh, and then more people whatever. At Buffalo, when I did that and I saw that I was not landing on grass and it was gonna be gravel, which destroyed my back like for months. Legitimately, dude, like it actually screwed up my back. Dude, like I couldn't walk the next day. Like I was dragged. If you watch the Patriots video, like I'm dragging. I'm up at 1 o'clock in the morning cleaning gravel out of my legit open elbow. Like it is, and it's deep in there and it hurts. And I sleep for 1 hour. We miss our flight, and I drive 6 hours and 48 minutes to go to Foxborough to make the next fan event. So, to answer your question, after that point where I literally destroyed my back to the point where I couldn't walk, my elbow is gushing blood. It is some weird color now. And I still got in a car on an hour of sleep so Johnny could sleep so he could edit later, and drive nearly 7 hours, do a fan event, do the tour, and then get that next video out, and then go to sleep and do the same exact thing for 24 more days. Damn. After I survived that first day, I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. Because every day, the elbow's going to feel a little better. Yeah, every day, the back is going to feel a little bit better. Spoilers, the back did not feel really that much better. But the elbow healed really nicely. It's the most badass scar I'll ever get. But to answer your question, it was the experience and going through something that I have never done before. I hadn't been to the majority of these cities, let alone states, right? Like I haven't been to any of these places. And I was like, yeah, okay, we'll miss a flight. I'll drive. Like, well, I'm just going to make it happen. I was telling fans where the fan event and what time it was going to be the day of, sometime like hours before, and people were just waiting for it. Wow. And the good that it did when we made $100,000 for St. Jude, literally in the first 10 days, and I'm in an Uber at 12:30 in the morning because I convinced somebody to drive us from Philadelphia to Baltimore because I needed to get there really early in the morning for the tour. And we hit $100,000. I was like, this is amazing. Like something really good is happening. And you saw it at every fan event. You saw it with every person we interacted. We had Uber drivers donating to St. Jude. We had hotel clerks. The kindness that we saw literally like around this country and around the internet was so pure. Dude, like I'm not failing. Like there's no shot. Because it was legitimately like the most beautiful like thing I had ever gone through because it was just so positive. And you were doing it for kids.
Wow,
That's awesome, man. That's I got a quick ask to what did you teach? I just resigned from teaching this year.
Congrats, brother. Yeah, and I love teaching. I loved every second I was teaching. It's tough, man. Like it's not even I could have taught the rest of my life, but like it's just it wears you down. But I taught social studies for high schoolers. So Global
nice.
9, Global 10, AP Euro, Psych, Econ, Gov. Yeah, I taught it all.
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
that's my subject right there. Question Civ, baby.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, what'd you teach?
I was a special education teacher, and I worked with students with emotional and behavioral disabilities.
Yeah.
So it was like an exclusive classroom for behavioral re-education. I did it for 8 years.
Yeah.
And my mental health, not good. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. No, so if you had an exclusive, was it for elementary or was it secondary kids?
I started elementary, but then I ended up at a middle school.
Oh
And
God. I'm so sorry.
I loved it, but it was a burnout. I got a kid that turns 1 next week. It's my only kid. Thank you. And so this last year, teaching with a kid, I was just like, I can't do this, man. I'm like, I want to go raise my kid and not raise other people's kids.
That's you know what though, but like that's you to recognize that, because I think there are teachers that have that same mentality and they stay, and the students suffer for that because they know that their teacher like is really not into it. Because teaching, like you have to be in it, you know, like you have to be like both feet in. And like I did this for 6 years working both, and it just by the end destroyed me, especially the COVID year. So like, dude, like legit kudos to recognizing that and be like, yeah, like this is what I want, and now I'll find something else and go raise my kid.
Yeah. Well, it's cool. I didn't know that you were a teacher, so learned something about you today, Tom.
There you go.
I dig
I'll
it.
learn.
Yeah.
Tom's like you're like me and Bernie are over here trying to make it like that one day. I know, and we know the grind that you've done. You kind of you, TSET TV, Pack Day, all you guys have really kind of paved the way forward to kind of give other content creators opportunities to try to take their passion and make it into something, right? And I guess someone cares enough to listen to us and hear us talk about this kind of stuff, right? So,
well, it's for me, that's the other part of it, right? So there's the charitable stuff. So the last 3 years for like, I've really, after that stream, I was like, oh, like this is basically the priority about like, if we could help people, like, and this could legitimately like make a difference, like, oh yeah, no, this is, and that's the teacher in me, right? Like that's the being of service, and was like, yeah, like that's what I'm going for. You know, you don't have to jump through a table to do this, but you can just be a charitable person. It's really, you just do that. You can just donate. That's fine. You could just like put money in there, gone. But for me, I never did it for money. I still do not do it for money. Like on this channel, right? Like I have sponsors with like GPS or like Clickbait, like the shows I do with other people. I don't take any sponsors. I don't sell things to people. I don't ask people for money unless it's for charity. Right. And the only way that this survives is donations, right? Like memberships, all that great stuff. And ads. That's literally the only way that I make money. So like there's no guaranteed money doing this for me. Like I don't have a set of like, oh, because I did this advertisement, I'm getting paid this amount of money this month. Right. It doesn't. And I've always been okay with that because I knew for a very long time, like I wasn't the best at this. And it's good God, especially starting out, like I just wasn't. I could not afford a good microphone. I couldn't afford a good soundboard. I literally made my first lighting system out of PVC piping from Home Depot. I still have those
That's
lights
still pretty
literally like, out there.
badass.
Yeah, with halogen bulbs because I couldn't afford a lighting system. And I was like, okay, like this will make it look better. I recorded on a Sony camcorder that was the biggest piece of garbage like ever because it was, dude, from like 2011. Like
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's old
it was
school.
a pretty old camcorder, and I just did it because I loved it. And I was like, yeah, I love talking to people. Like I said, I remember it was the Rams episode in 2015. I brought a Rams guest on and 1,000 people listened to it. And I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And there was no comments. There was no anything. Like sometimes they'd post in subreddits because like you could go back on Reddit now and find posts that I've made like 9 years ago of like, need a Broncos fan. That's how I met Brandon Perna. Like I literally was just like, hey, I'm just interviewing fans. And yeah, and just bringing them on and talking to them. And dude, like I told you, it took 3 years to make $200. Like, and I made that probably the last like 2 months of those 3 years. So I never had a desire to do this for money. I did it for free for so long. The first time I started making any decent money with this was the 2020 season. Like after Jordan Love got drafted, like that went viral, which was me just sitting there at 2 o'clock in the morning, editing all this stuff and going, yeah, you know what? Like, I'll clip this. Why not? Throwing it up there at 2 a.m. and then it just exploding. And 2020 was the first time where I was like, oh, okay, like maybe I could leave. Because at this point I had left private school. I was moving all around. I went 90 minutes one way for a commute because I wanted to be in a public school and took a $10,000 pay cut to do so. And like they lied to me about the job. So I was bouncing around, did a leave replacement. And there was a point where I thought I could make it heading into the 2020 season of like, you know what? Like maybe, because again, at this point, I've put out content 5 days a week since August of 2019. I've been doing this now for 6 years and was like, okay, like maybe now I can start to get some momentum, but I just never have the time because I'm doing 2 jobs.
Right.
So I legit was going to try and do it, but then COVID happened and I didn't know if they were going to cancel the season.
Yeah.
Because like that was for a
little
bit, that was a legit possibility.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, if I just say, yeah, I'm not going to go teach, and then they canceled the only way I was about to be able to pay my bills, it's not a great look. So I taught, and I tell this all the time, I didn't know what 90% of my kids looked like because I taught 4 sections of seniors. They didn't have to have their cameras on. It was all virtual, but I had to go in. Some kids came in, and it was just a miserable year because you just weren't able to be a teacher.
Right.
And that with, okay, I'm miserable now doing this. Like, you never let the kids see it. Like, you do what you got to do and, like, you know, make sure that they're the priority. But I'm not happy teaching right now. So I'm going to take all of that angst and all of, like, depression and whatever, and I'm going to pour it into I'm going to stream nonstop. I got 3 hours of sleep a night that entire school year.
Damn.
Because I was working over 100 hours a week. I was streaming every game I possibly could because I was like, now I need to grow this because I knew in November heading into December, June 25th, it's the last day of the school. I am not going to be a teacher after that day. Like, I'm done. I can't do this. So I knew, and I was so burnt out just in that point. And then the whole season had to still happen. And I waited every single day at that point, like, again, going through a divorce in 21. And I just took all that and was like, okay, I quit my job. I don't know if this is going to work out. I think it will, just because I put out so much stuff and I try to be so fast and accurate. And again, this community has been amazing. Let me try it. And I was like, okay, like I said to you before, all I need to do to make this work is work. Because if I just put out as much content as I possibly can, even if nobody donates, ad revenue, I should be able to pay my bills.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
And I did not stop working. And I haven't stopped working. I mean, I literally have been doing this nonstop since 2019. Like, I was easing into it. It just built and built. But literally in 2019, I was like, okay, let's give this the old college try. And especially when I left my job, which I was terrified to do, which I was told not to do, I was like, okay, I am just going to work. And so since then, like during the season, it's still 100 hours a week. Like, I stream every primetime game, every Packers game. I cover just about everything. Like literally there's multiple videos per day. And
I've seen it, yeah.
Like that's what my grind is because I love it. So yeah, like, am I burnt out? Am I exhausted? Dude, I tell people like, don't burn out. I was like, since 2019, I have been officially burnt out. But I'm doing something that I'm legit so in love with, that I take so seriously, that I like to think I did the right way. And I use it first and foremost, like as a platform to help people. Right. And whether that is with the community that we have here, in which like people have met up in real life and done like real life raids of, you know, restaurants, like to support local businesses, or they have become friends, and like that help. But it's also the fact that we can raise $51,000 in 8 hours, the fact that we could raise $1 million in 3 years, and I make football videos. Like that to me is like, yeah, this is a really big responsibility. I take it really seriously, and you know, I just do the best I can.
Living the dream, man. That's
a roadmap. You don't have to take that one. Like you could just put out like once a week, you know, you can. But I tell people the number one thing is consistency. Yeah. You just do it. So it's like, if you're putting out a show once a week, you're putting out a show once a week. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And from there, like the first 6 months to a year, you'll know like intrinsically if you really love this, because unless something explodes, you're probably not going to have a lot of people watching, right? Like I sure as hell didn't. Like for years, I did Q&As and there was no cues. Like there was no questions.
We've had that.
And I was like, all right. And I just rambled for 15 minutes and I was like, all right, see you guys later. And then it would leave, right? Like that's what it was. Or I'd have like 8 people in a stream and 2 of them maybe talked. So I saw it all. And so that I've kind of respected it the same way I did back then, of like, oh man, like one person's watching, what have you, up to 50,000 people being in there for the 49ers Packers game. Because again, like I'm just doing the work that I love. It is amazing that this has grown to be the thing that it is. I still feel the same way about it because I still love it, because I love football. Like I love the Packers since I was 6 years old. And so, yeah, man, like now this has become a job, which I'm so blessed to do. And I try to earn it every single day. And that's it.
Wow.
Nice. Hey, I want to make sure that we get to some Packers talk.
Yeah.
I'm really,
that was
I'm
awesome.
really curious. Curious. I want to be respectful of your time, Tom.
No, you're good.
So, yeah. What are some initial thoughts and feelings? I mean, you can talk about the Love contract or Josh Jacobs coming to town,
sure,
or just what you're thinking about, thinking how the season's going to turn out.
Dude, like I'm super excited for this season, and it's funny because I think, especially if you're on like Packers Twitter and stuff, like you're gonna see negativity from like division rivals and just like stoking the fire and be like, oh, you overpaid them and blah blah blah. And they are coping so damn hard. Like the cope is at an all-time high. And like again, Bears fans, like you can't speak up yet because last season went so poorly. But last season, I was excited for last season because for the first time as a Packers fan, and this is, I know, a very like douchey thing to say, and I don't mean it like this, but for the first time, I didn't have Super Bowl expectations.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Because we had Brett Favre and then we had Aaron Rodgers, which so blessed to have back-to-back Hall of Fame QBs. One more than the other, maybe. But at the end of the day, like, we were blessed with amazing football, competitive football. And like, as fans, we were able to go into each season and go, yeah, my team could win a Super Bowl this year. And like, to really quick branch off to Packcast, like talking to other fans who were like Browns fans back in the day, or Lions fans back in the day, or Bengals, you know what I mean? Like there was teams that were really bad. Dude, it humbled the hell out of me. Because I was like, damn, like you got into fandom because of your grandfather, which is the most touching story. So yeah, like I respect your fandom. It might not be for the team I'm rooting for, but like I respect that.
Right.
And you are like, yeah, if we win 3 games, it's good. And I was like, bro, damn.
I get what that's.
You know what? I'm spoiled. Like that's what it is.
Yeah, it is true.
So for last year, it was cool with that perspective going into it. And, the Bears week 1 was amazing. And then, there were some struggles, right? The Falcons game, the Saints come back, which is great. Everyone already started bashing Love for completion rating or whatever they were complaining about. And then they were bad. And then there was a stretch last year. They were very bad. They were a bad football team. They just weren't executing. You could see flashes of talent, but the defense wasn't putting it together. The offense wasn't putting it together. The wide receiver, etc. And then the way that season ended and absolutely thrashing the Dallas Cowboys. When we made the playoffs, I was like, okay, we won that Lions game on Thanksgiving, and I was like, ooh, this is a different side of the team that I haven't seen yet. Of they put something together here. And even when it was in a loss because of Joe Barry,
thank you.
You saw the offense was getting better and better. Baker Mayfield came into the house and literally threw a perfect passer rating, which is disgusting. But Jordan Love was also good that day.
He was,
and the offense was still making plays. And literally Baker Mayfield was perfect and beat us, right? So as when we went into the playoffs, I was like, okay, if we're just competitive against the Cowboys, I'm going to be pretty happy because this is already we kind of overachieved. It definitely surpassed my expectations. I was like, if we could be a 9-win team, 10-win team, that'd be cool. And then just the way the season went, I didn't see us going there. And when we beat the ever-living crap out of the Cowboys on national television, we made commentators cry at halftime. I was like, this is amazing. Yeah. I was like, bro, we could beat the 49ers.
Yeah, and we almost did.
We almost did. Mm-hmm. And so even 49ers fans after that were like, who are usually talking all that smack because they just destroy us in the playoffs. They were like, GG's. Thank you. It was just like, yep, we got one. We kind of got away with that one. And ever since then, I was like, I'm so excited for this team. I was like, I don't care what Jordan Love gets. Keep him on the team. It's the youth that's on the team. I was really upset when Aaron Jones left. That did suck. Josh Jacobs in there. Dude, I'm excited for Josh Jacobs. Behind our O-line, let's effing go. This whole, oh man, Jordan Morgan is a guard. I don't care. Shut up. I want the best offensive line that Josh Jacobs can run through and that Jordan Love can throw from behind, right? The wide receivers, I have never cared about this wide receiver 1 conversation because the fact that we're even having it because they're all showing so much potential, that is the greatest problem ever to have. And they're all really young. Oh no, we don't know who's going to be where on the depth chart. Who cares? And then you have Jordan Love saying today, literally with Kay Adams, they all think they can beat wide receiver 1. That's the mentality because they're young, hungry guys. Jordan Love, eternally criticized right before he even took a snap. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a team that has a huge chip on their shoulder. They have the youth. I'm excited about Halfley. Cautiously optimistic. I like what I hear him out of camp. I like that. Yep. But I've been burned so many times, I just got to see it. I got to see it. But even if they're just good and this offense is a smidge better, Jordan Love throws less interceptions than he did at the beginning of the season or the middle of the season, before he really went on a heater. This team could get scary quickly. Yeah. And the Packers saw it. For them to go get McKinney, and as Packers fans, we know this, they never spend money. I know they did with Goody in 20 where they were let's bring in the Smith Bros, all that. Yep. But for them to actually go into a bidding war and go and spend premium money on one guy, a safety position where they just threw up their hands last year and went, we'll see what happens, which is what they did. Exactly. And then they traded Rasul Douglas away. They're like, we'll see what happens. And then we still and that still happens. And then they go, oh, this team is ready now. They made Jordan Love the highest paid quarterback because, oh, this team's ready now. Right. So the expectations within the building are insanely high. So for me as a fan to know that that's where the team is at, how could I not be excited? I cannot wait for football.
Is there a certain, are you going to any games this year, or is there any games that you're really looking forward to?
So I'm going because I don't go to games because I'm streaming all of them. Yeah. I do go every year for a preseason game, so I'll be there for the Ravens, which will be super cool. But the game that I'm the most excited is, again, like this is not a new answer. It's the Texans game. Like, and again, how that's not in prime time is beyond me. But,
it may get flexed. I think it might get flexed.
Like the whole AFC South is going to be fun to play. Like, and it's just like, like this is a young team, and I think it's also just the way they performed against like good defenses as well. Like that's like, okay, because usually the Packers as a more finesse team, when they ran into a really good defense, Giants, 49ers, they got stomped by it didn't work out. I think this team's a little different. And like that's exciting to think about. So to go up against a really young team who's also on the rise, who had a quarterback who like lit the world on fire. At Lambeau, let's rock.
Hell yeah.
Go.
I was just gonna say, Amar, what about you? Do you have a game that you're really looking forward to?
I'm looking for week 12, baby. Week 12 Niners, man. I want all that smoke. I want all that smoke. They are imploding right now. They half their playmakers are hurt. The other half don't even want to be there. I'm just saying, I'm loving life right now. I'm just like, I have family that are Niners fans, and I'm just waiting for that Ayuk trade to go through. I'm just waiting. I'm just like, man, their first round pick, he got a busted old hammy. I'm like, look, that's the game. I want them at full strength. So then when we do smack them, I don't want to hear no complaints, nothing. I want us. I think I've told Bernie this. Like, I want us to somehow make the playoffs, and I want us to have to go through Detroit, the Niners, and whoever else has been a bugaboo for us. I want to be a battle of attrition and adversity. So when we get to the Super Bowl, no one can ever question who we went through. Just like in 2010, we had to go through all the best teams to get there, right? No different. I want it to be the same way. Because, I mean, it's the thing. Like, the way Tom explained last year is so true, because I'm Mr. Optimistic. I'm like, oh, we're going to Super Bowl every year. I say that even though I know it's not feasible, but I believe it. But no joke, last year showed you like how it could be, and then it turned around, and honestly, it just, we were like Paul Rudd in that one like gift where he's like, who thought we would be here? Not me.
Look at us. Look at us.
That's it. Look at us.
Yes. But hey, Tom, I want to just throw it back your way for if you got any last words or shout outs. I just want to be respectful of your time. I know you've given us a handful of extra minutes already.
Good.
Okay.
No, guys, I appreciate you having me on. This was super fun. I can't wait for this season. Like, I think it's gonna be really exciting as a Packers fan. Just to see how they develop, and I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of bumps in the road, but I think just the youth of the team, the talent that they have shown, and the potential that has like been flashed is pretty significant. And I think the response from the team, like I was talking about before, like I talked to Mark Murphy, and my dude, I was like, are we just like for safety? Like, are we just kind of, and then he's like, yep, like that. And it's like, again, like that's how it's going. I was like, okay, I get it, because you don't know what you had in Jordan Love, right? If Jordan Love didn't work out, well, then it's like, well, we're not even, a defense away. We're a quarterback away. Right. By the end of the season, the tune had changed so much that it was like, oh, like we're a couple pieces away. Exactly. Like they went out and they got McKinney. And I know that this is like, I love Aaron Jones. I love Aaron Jones.
We all do, yeah.
The Packers made a move for Josh Jacobs and basically told Aaron Jones, either take less money or not. Exactly. And like that is harsh as hell, especially as someone who, Aaron Jones was my favorite player on the team. I was like, he just represented the community really well. Like he was a dope person and a dope player. And he still is. It's just now he's with Satan and I can't talk about him anymore. But they basically knew that backlash would come. They knew like that they were cutting a good player. Mm-hmm. And they still were like, nope, this is the guy who's going to help us win right now. That's why we're paying him, Jordan Love, this much money, because this team, the window is open. Yeah. And that is exciting as hell.
Right on. But Amar, you want to see us out, or do you want me to head us out?
I want you can close out. I got one thing I tell Tom is that his boy Brandon got me good from when I got interviewed by Chancellor Johnson back in the day in 2020. and had me on his show talking about the Jordan Love pick, right?
Yep.
And he clipped me.
Oh.
He clipped me in that video he did that montage. And you just tell Brandon, hey, touche. Guess what? I've been eating crow for him and Rashawn Gary, and I'm okay with it.
Dude.
But man, he got me good because people were, hey man, did you know you were in that video? I'm like, yeah, I know. I messed up. I was in my feelings. And yours was good though, because you were like dumbfounded, and then you're like, okay, yeah. I wish I did that.
I just wanted Patrick Queen. I also wanted Denzel Mims, but
No,
I'm gonna
me
choose
too.
to
I
omit
was
that.
Queen
I
all
just
the way
wanted
through.
Patrick Queen.
That's it.
It's like if we got Jordan Love the second round, I'd be like, let's go. I'm happy.
That's fine, yeah,
Just first night.
Queen was my guy.
Yeah.
Same.
First night, I made those videos. First night, I bought a signed mini helmet Jordan Love and a signed jersey. Like, I was on it night one.
You're
It was like,
that.
could be
My
that guy.
boy, man.
Could be that guy. And now he's that guy.
He is that guy, which is, it's all good. I'm okay with eating the crow now. But yeah, that was my one thing. And just, Tom, man, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It's awesome.
Appreciate you guys.
We got to have you on when the season starts. Please try to fit us into your extremely tight schedule, because 100 hours a week, man. Oh my gosh, you great, wow, man.
That's it. It's coming, boys. It's gonna be great. No, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. This is a lot of fun.
Absolutely, we'll definitely come crash one of your streams this season too.
Let's go,
Amar. We'll find a time, come crash the stream. But this has been Coast to Coast Packers. Amar and I are going to be guesting. Right, we're going to be guesting on a show on Thursday to do a Packers.
She's probably going to come to our show, I think is what I'm thinking right now.
Okay, so we'll have a Browns fan on and preview here. Thanks again, Tom and Amar, and come check us out on Thursday. But as always, go Pack, go.
Go Pack,
go.